Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rushdown Podcast. My name is Kim, and my guest today is Mitch Janzen. I hope I pronounced it right. How are you doing today?
Yeah, yeah. There's some people say the Z really hard. Z, sorry.
Yeah.
Some people say the Z hard, some people don't, but you did good. I'm doing
Awesome.
well. I'm doing cold.
Yeah, I
Very
bet.
cold out here.
There was definitely a cold front, I feel like, these past couple of days, and you definitely sent me a picture before we started of the Aurora lights, which I'm
Yeah.
really jealous of. It was a sick
Yeah, I've
picture.
got I've got one of my cameras on the yard on a screen right here,
Yeah,
and like I can still see the red up in the sky. It's really amazing.
awesome.
So
You
if the internet cuts out, I blame the solar storms going on.
I bet. Are you doing like a time lapse video?
Uh, I actually have a bird feeder stream, a
Mhm.
24/7 bird watching stream, and at nighttime it changes to a wide angle of the night sky. And so when the northern lights are out, the camera can really see the green and the red better than the human eye.
Yeah,
So it's really there's like six people in there now watching. So
yeah. That's
it's
dope.
not a big number, but like who watches bird feeders 24/7? Apparently I do. So
I'm sure there's a community out there that watches it.
yeah, yeah. Shout out California Burbs. I paint burbs. There's so many like bird streams on Twitch if you just know where to look. So
Yeah, I bet. I'm sure we all get to that point in life eventually where we all watch birds.
hey, it could be like an old person, like a retiree uh activity.
Yeah, I mean, it's peaceful. I love looking at birds
Mhm.
outside my window too. But yeah, um, congratulations on being the 2026 Director of Events for Dodgeball Canada.
Thanks.
Uh, were you kind of nervous about the voting?
Uh I was so like full disclosure, I was nervous about who I was going against because for whatever reason, I thought it was gonna be me versus Shade. I was wrong. So like going into it, I was like, I don't even want to do this anymore. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, this is what am I doing to myself mentally? Just But it felt easy once I got into it. I'm not a public speaker. I
Hmm.
suck at public speaking. That's why I stay behind the camera. But I've been in a similar events type position before. So that's what made it easy to talk about. Um, all through high school, I enjoyed running tournaments. I built leagues for fake sports that don't ever exist. That was just meant for YouTube video in like back in 2005, maybe as early as 2005. And like it was just between me and my friends and a bunch of British guys that we randomly met over the internet that did the same sport. So we had two different leagues and kind of ran it's stupid. If you look up comb ball with a K on YouTube, you can probably find it. But uh yeah,
It's awesome.
it's yeah.
Yeah,
There was some nervousness there.
yeah, I bet. Can you kind of explain what this position is going to be about?
Yeah, it's a new position. They've had uh originally in Dodgeball Canada when Dwayne Wazinski left, they had issues getting board positions, so they kind of amalgamated different positions and then it just became a smaller board with more jobs. And that I think maybe burnt out people a little bit more. So on this new board, there was two more positions added, and then split up all the different jobs. And so the director of events basically is overseeing planning and delivery of Dodgeball Canada's national events, develop event standards, hosting guidelines, bid processes. The big one to me is supporting host committees and managing the coordination with provincial and territories that are running those national events. And I say that because I've been to multiple, well, actually, it's not multiple yet, but the Cloth Open specifically that was in Winnipeg, and then Westerns last year. They had they basically have a bid process for those tournaments to be in the city, and then the thing I noticed was it basically became you win, here you go, bye, good luck. And then Dodgeball Canada kind of ghosts, for lack of a better term. And then that PSO or that organization is kind of left to their own devices to, okay, what next? Now that doesn't happen at the national level because over the last few years, both Mark and Shade have been pretty hands-on. Actually, I don't remember if Shade was hands-on in Richmond in 2024, but Mark was for sure. So like that was the, I believe, what my role kind of becomes. Um and having that, that knowledge of this is something you might run into, and helping a committee along that might be new to a tournament kind of helps them.
Sick.
So it makes that easier on them.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like the USA board is kind of in the same boat where it's kind of starting to delegate the smaller stuff to like other people as well, just to ease the
Yeah,
weight.
you saw that in Seattle in Premier
Mhm.
Tour. They knew that Lucas can run a tournament on his own. I think that was the one tournament that had the least hands-on from the board.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah,
not including Boston, where I don't think anybody from the board was there, but um, who was it? Tree and Rennie really
yeah,
had a really, if they weren't there, that would have been a disaster, you know?
yeah, yeah. So it seems like they're kind of on that trend as well as like kind of
Mhm.
handing it off to other people to do it. But I mean, it's been working.
Because how
So
costly can it be to have a board member flying to every city? Six different cities in the year, or seven if you count
yeah,
nationals, right?
for
So,
sure. Yeah, I mean, they've been doing it for what, the past 3 years. Whenever USA Dodgeball came around, I
mhm.
can't imagine that burden.
Well,
Um,
that's Dustin Harwood, all right there, really helped
yeah,
split up the work.
yeah, for sure. Why did you want to take this position?
Haha. I've had so many answers to that question. There's so many different parts and pieces to it. Um, Sometimes I say I got bored of streaming.
Mm,
I feel like I've gone as far as I can on the streaming level of things without breaking any glass barriers that Dodgeball's not ready to break yet, i.e., getting a $25,000 production company to do the streaming for us, which in my mind would be the next step.
yeah.
I'm not uh I'm not saying I'm not capable of this. I don't have a production company. I don't own a production company. I do work for a production company, but it's it's not really, there's just no budget for $25,000 production day,
Yeah,
right? And looking back at Worlds 2017, $25,000 got the WDBF four streamed courts for a whole 4 days.
really.
So think about that. And that's, and like no graphics on every one of them, commentary on only one court for 4 days, $25,000. And that's Canadian. So like 17, 18,000 American.
Yeah,
So like
that's wild.
that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
So like uh so in my mind, I might be answering a question you have later on, but that's like almost next steps, and that's not something I can necessarily provide unless I see like I wouldn't be the one who owns the company, a production company, to do that. It has to be like I don't have the equipment for that, right? So, but I can be a producer role, definitely. I know all the ins and outs. I know you've got the two sides, right? The dodgeball, and you've got the production side. The production guys aren't going to know the sport enough, so having the person in the middle to tell them what's going on, what would be good next, basically scripting the show, that would be what my role is. And that's what I feel would be next for me after this. But like, I feel like this is an in between
Mm,
sort of, but I have some good ideas
yeah,
of what I want to do. So,
for sure. Yeah, you definitely
and
taken dodgeball shooting to the next level already since you've been around. Um, but yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine if dodgeball would even ever get to that point where we're spending $25,000 for streaming.
It can, but the thing is, in the sports world, it would be the the network bidding for the
Mm,
sport.
yeah,
So the sport shouldn't in the real world, in like a proper setting, the sport shouldn't be paying for the production. It would be the sport has gotten big enough that the network is paying for the sport.
yeah.
We want this sport. We want this to be exclusively on our network. And so, you know, before COVID, I would have said we're 5 years down the road. We were.
Yeah,
COVID kind of killed a lot in terms of dodgeball specifically.
I would say that.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We were definitely
Now
going
I would say maybe it's 10 years down the road still. So,
I mean, unless we get the pig ball effect where they just shot straight up to the sky.
I have some thoughts on how we could make it less than 10 years, but a lot of people might not like what I have to say.
Mm,
And it has to do
controversy.
with, it does. It has a lot to do with the direction of the WDBF and how there's controversy there, right?
Mm.
But
There's no drama without dodgeball.
no, it's the sixth D, the true sixth D.
Yep.
Or wait, fifth, not dodge. Instead of the second dodge, it's actually drama. But anyways,
Gotta have the second dodge in there. It's iconic.
okay, fine, the sixth D.
Um, but yeah, will this position now will it affect Dodgeball Live or your ability to like, travel to go stream dodgeball events?
I don't think so. It definitely changes what happens with Dodgeball Canada events specifically. I'm not too worried. We have even through Dodgeball.live and the work Megan McCaffrey has done to get clients on her end and supply or service providers and stuff like that. We have the guys in Quebec that can stream. We have a couple of people in Winnipeg, where I'm from, that can also stream. I can always provide stuff that I have that help with the stream. And like, it all depends on what a stream looks like in the future, a basic stream versus a major stream, right? So,
Yeah.
it, I don't think it affects my travel if you were wondering specifically to like Premier Tour. I
Mhm.
know that the only thing it might affect is we were pretty lucky in 2025 that no events really overlapped.
Mhm.
And when it did, it wasn't major to the point where we could have like I think it was Ontario Provincials and the Youth World Championships were in two
Oh
different
yeah.
cities, Calgary and Kamloops. No, why am I saying Kamloops? That's in BC. Kitchener,
Mhm.
Waterloo, another K town. But like we had one of the other Winnipeg guys go to Calgary for the youth championships, and I went to Ontario, and that was I think our only one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I remember that happening. I was very unfortunate that it happened on the same day or same
yeah,
weekend.
yeah. Yeah. Was unfortunate that we had didn't have a Dodgeball Canada team sponsored at youth championships either, but that's a
Yeah.
different story too. Anyways,
We're getting there though. It's slowly
yeah,
happening.
yeah. That's the thing. Like, I think Mexico was one of the only ones that actually had a youth team.
Mhm.
Hong Kong, maybe Italy sent. I don't remember for sure. But I think with the U.S., was there a U.S. team?
There was a USA
Um,
team, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. But the USA and the Canada teams just kind of went as individual local whatevers,
Hmm.
regional teams. They weren't sponsored by anyone.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
went. So
Yeah. Oh, Hong Kong came in strong.
yeah, yeah. No, it's good. Good for them. They it was a good event.
Yeah, for sure.
Sweaty venue, but you know,
They're kids.
yeah, they can handle it.
But yeah, that's awesome. And then you just came back from API. How was the
Uh,
travels?
Sorry, you did have a question about what my plans are with the position. I don't know if I touched on that.
Oh, go for it.
Um, but one of the platform I kind of ran on in my speech during the event, during the voting thing, was that with this new version of nationals, it kind of doesn't make sense that provincial championships feed into something that's not called nationals anymore. And
Mhm.
it's almost like I know that it's probably a transitional phase and we're slowly changing what what provincials to nationals is. So one of the ideas I thought of to help with development of the sport and to get more inclusivity in the sport and to maybe even break down those barriers that have become problems like roster rules, roster restrictions, stuff like that. It would, my idea that I brought up in my speech was a club based system that was more to create more competitiveness, accessibility, sustain a path to a national, like the club championships. But it would replace the provincial feed model with four open regional championships. So BC and Alberta would host a championship together every year. Saskatchewan, Manitoba would do a second. Ontario, Quebec would do a third. And Atlantic Canada would do a fourth. And this would happen every year, is kind of my idea. It's similar to the old Premier Tour system, north, south, east, west.
Yeah, I was gonna say
We can't really do
that.
that in Canada.
Yeah.
But the idea behind this, like USA Dodgeball ran those north, south, east, west, where here it would be the provinces working together. It would create camaraderie between the PSOs, the
Mhm.
provincial sports organizations, um, and like revenue sharing and all that sort of thing would come in. And one of the ideas that came out of it was like, and I didn't mention this in the speech at all. I don't know how this would become, how this would be kind of, you know, observed or if people would like it, but like, how do we get it more open so that US teams could potentially come up too and add to that competition? And I think in the end, no matter what, club championships in Canada, the Dodgeball Canada Club Championship should be Canadian clubs only. But what about that competition leading up to it to help develop club teams that can't travel to states events? I'm thinking more like in the East, Riptide, the Nova Scotia and the New Brunswick teams. They're all selection committee based teams, um, but they don't like they're not able to travel as easily as
Mhm.
other teams. Like BC goes to Seattle all the time. Toronto can travel to anywhere in the it's so cheap, so much cheaper to travel from Toronto to go anywhere, really.
Yeah.
But everywhere else in Canada, it's like super expensive no matter where you go.
Mhm.
Um, so there would be a point system, I'm thinking, for Canadian clubs that would you'd only get your top two best results. So if you go to one tournament and win it, you're good, you're in. You don't have to go to a second. But if you do go to a second, it would just be that one that you get extra points for. And then that would be the seating for the event in the end. Um, you know, PEI would be able to travel easily to a Toronto or Montreal or Ottawa, so they don't have to fly all the way to BC
Yeah.
or Alberta because they don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Um, but then BC and Alberta could go to Regina or Winnipeg or Saskatoon for a second tournament if they wanted to. It'd be a lot easier. It would allow for more development, practice, that sort of thing. Or also the idea of have you ever wondered what it would be like if New Era would try to go dethrone hard as foam in their own territory? Because I'm very curious what that would be like, you know?
Yeah.
Or, you know, Mavericks going down and running the table in Winnipeg or something like that, right? Like drama all
Yeah.
around. But it would be a fun, more competitive, more less predictable because everything always seemed. The only thing that was not predictable this past year was what happened to Future in Alberta.
Hmm. Yeah.
I love
Poor
unpredictable
future.
tournaments.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
that's
mean,
sort of the framework. But I wanna preface all this with, sorry, I keep cutting you off,
no,
but
you're fine.
I want to preface it with this proposal would be built together by a committee, a subcommittee of everybody, of one person from each PSO that they trust. Could be anybody, member, non-member, doesn't matter. But like we would work together to make this a full proposal that would then go to the PSOs, and then the PSOs would have to vote on it because the PSOs, like I understand that this would mess with their provincial plans. So the PSOs would have to agree on this idea first before anything else can start. So this isn't a 2026 plan. No, it's far from. This would be have to be something that has to be set in stone by June of 2026, and then we work at making this a 2027 plan sort of idea.
Yeah.
But again, has to go through the process.
Yep. I mean, everything is a process. You can't really do anything right away.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's a great plan. I mean, it makes for very interesting events happening.
Yep. Less predictable.
Yeah. But yeah. Um Back to the question I was talking about was you traveled to API. How was the
Mhm.
traveling? How was the experience?
The flight is long. Uh,
Yeah, I bet.
I've done long flights before. I went to Austria for Worlds. I've been to different locations, so I can handle it. Japan, whatever. I didn't go alone. I was at the cloth tournament the day before. There was a couple of people on my flight: Megan McCaffrey, Max, Justin Thomas, Karen Vanderderken, um, Brian DeMello, David Ampofo.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm missing anybody. Like we were all on the same flight to New Zealand.
that's awesome.
Um, Going there, I didn't know what my role would be. I kind of was like, "Hey, you're gonna help do stuff," you know. Originally, it was like, "Okay, streaming, whatever," the same as usual.
Yeah.
They had a nice streaming setup for themselves.
Mhm.
It was done by a provider in like locally, where they have cameras on every single court. There was a few, and then score graphics and everything on every court too. But these are built into the venue cameras.
Oh.
So similar to the Thing
Mhm.
in Seattle.
Yeah.
But the difference is they added on the score graphics that would automatically update based on what the referee was controlling with their phones.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, similar to Dodgeball Hub, but it was an API built system, which, by the way, they're switching to Dodgeball Hub next time. So,
Nice.
wink, wink, nudge, nudge. At first, I was thrown onto a team because there was a local New Zealand team, Throwbots, who had an injury.
No.
So, uh, I ended up playing one match
The
to
one
fill in.
game?
It was great. It was against Donuts. I can't remember if that's almost a Hong Kong based team. I'm not 100% sure.
Mhm.
Um, but like I basically played like just a pawn, a tweener. I didn't throw much. I had a ball if there was an extra ball. I didn't want to be there, to be honest. But it was kind of funny because the day of, leading to my first match, I saw Shota, um, Dylan Cruz, Xander, Simos. They all saw me and were like, "Why are you in a jersey?" I'm like, "I'm playing." He's like, "Oh, dude, I'm gonna come watch all your matches." Like, cheer every time you hit someone. I hit nobody, but but I had fun. I remember what a face shot feels like now.
Oh,
It was great. Like I had the full experience. I
awesome.
don't care much for how my heart rate works
Hmm.
because I do have heart issues.
Okay.
So it's like when I have the cold sweat
Mm.
and like hard of breath, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not good at this. You know, I can't do that. I can't die in New Zealand.
Oh, that'd
But
be brutal.
but the captain of Throwbots, Michael Davidson, is a Canadian New Zealander, so it was like, oh yeah, okay, this feels like home.
Yeah, awesome.
Now, the cool thing is, if you see New Zealand from the sky, you realize it's one of the most beautiful countries in the world. Some people say Scotland. Eh, eh, eh. New Zealand. If you haven't seen New Zealand, you haven't seen life. Basically, if you combine all the Canadian provinces, the beauty of all the Canadian provinces, and like I'll include America, may as well,
Mm.
except the desert. Nobody cares about the desert. Throw Arizona and New Mexico out of that equation. But like if you combine everything else,
Mhm.
you basically have the full beauty of New Zealand.
That's awesome.
So if you ever want to go on a road trip and see all 50 states, just go to New Zealand instead, honestly. Um, but yeah, no, my job basically ended up being uh, refing, running around, making sure reps were ready, assisting teams with language barriers because there's some team refs who didn't speak English, and then it was like I kind of live in that way where I do tech support with language barriers, so I know how to deal with that. So it
Yeah.
was very down my alley
Mhm.
easily, or up my alley. I don't know what the term is, but I love doing that. So it
Mhm.
was very fun. It was a very fun uh, split of what I'm used to doing, and that's the sort of thing I would love to do more. Shout out to Joel Anderson, who is the head ref, who I got to work with there too. Also a great New Zealander.
Yeah.
Rob and Simon are great. Yeah,
Awesome.
I'll be
So,
back. I'll be back in I'll be back in Melbourne next year for sure. And from what I'm seeing behind the scenes, I really want to go to the one after that too. So
nice. Yeah, so you're technically just like a floater, kind of just running around wherever help is needed.
yeah, yeah. Or
Nice.
I like to use the term organizer's bitch, but I don't know if I'm not allowed to say
You're
that.
all good. Everyone needs
Lack
one
of a
though.
better term. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I even saw you like refing like some pretty major matches. I think you ref one of the
There's a story
finals.
behind that one. Uh, yeah, the original ref for that Dugongs versus Shred, is that the one you're referring to?
Hmm.
So one of the refs that was scheduled is Dugongs Associated.
Oh,
And I don't remember if the ref mentioned that or if it was John Wheeler who brought it up. Because I remember, and I was kind of like blanking out because I had different responsibilities at the time, but it really looked like Shred was requesting me.
yeah.
I'm not 100% sure on that. And I'm like, why? Why me? Like, I guess I was the only one who was confident with cloth rules.
Mm.
And like that was kind of a big issue at this tournament was what are the cloth rules? So there was a lot of refs that refed that didn't know the rules. Luckily, I know the rules enough to. The only thing I wasn't 100% sure on, and I got to learn, was the play ball rules.
Yeah.
Now I know them pretty good. I
Hmm.
I, I would be confident in repping that match again if I had to, other than some of the anger. But you have to put that aside,
Yeah.
right? You have to put all that aside. You're not best friends on the court. You're not gonna be friendly in any way. You're calling the match as you see it, right? So
Mm. Yeah. Refing's tough.
yeah.
You've had experience like refing pretty major matches like that before?
So Worlds 2017, I ref.
Okay.
That was my first experience. I remember being called out by Jake Mason for not knowing what I was doing. And that's actually thanks Jake Mason because I got to meet Dwayne Wazinski
Nice.
that day because he went to Dwayne and said, I don't know what this ref is doing. And then Dwayne called me in for like a one-on-one. And I'm
Mm.
like, he didn't talk about my refing. He was just wanted to meet me and you know.
Oh,
So
nice.
that's a funny story about I met Dwayne Wazinski because Jake Mason thought my refing sucked.
That's awesome.
But like yeah, those are tough. That was like my first experience, especially with a personality like Vic Gravili.
Mhm.
Um, and like that was another reason why he brought it up because why I had to have a meeting with Wayne because when me and Matt Klacheski, who were refing the main court most of the time that year, um, he would Vic Gravili was storming up to us and wanted to hear what we were saying, which is
Mhm.
a natural thing for a coach to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, whoa, 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 hold on a sec, we're talking."
Mhm.
And like it was calmly like, like that.
Yeah.
But I think he took it as a "get out of my face" kind of moment, which it was not, and that's out of anger. Or,
Mhm.
no, he's not an angry guy off the court. He's
Yeah.
just passionate,
Yeah.
right? But out of that, seeing that, I guess he went to Dwayne and said, "You need to talk to this ref." And, like,
Nice.
so,
Two strikes.
thank you, Vic, and Jake Mason for allowing me to meet Dwayne.
That's so
So,
funny. And then, um, so overall, API was like pretty good experience for you.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. I
enough to
ended
go
up.
back.
uh, Hey.
Enough to go back.
Oh yeah, oh I definitely. They basically invited me back for Melbourne already. So
Nice.
like I'm committed to
Yeah.
that tournament is great. I love it. It's I'll be full disclosure, in my opinion, it's not a true invitational,
Yeah.
but I understand the reason behind the word invitational. It's Asian countries, it's Pacific countries, and it's everybody else is still invited too.
Mm.
That's what the invitational means. It's not the typical
Yeah.
term, but yeah.
Nice.
Oh, and I also like on that same trip ended up in the Middle East for work, ended up in Thailand and like came back home. So I literally just been home a few days. So
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah,
it's been a whirlwind of a trip.
we were trying to schedule it. I was like, hey, when are you getting back home? Oh, I'm gonna be in
Never,
Thailand.
never. Yeah. I'm never coming back home.
Yeah. Man, great little vacation you had.
Yeah, yeah. My
Nice.
girlfriend being from Thailand kind of makes things interesting, but the Bahrain, I was in Bahrain. Um, the Bahrain to Thailand or Bangkok had a direct flight, so I was like, "Oh, hit stop in Thailand to see my girlfriend, and then
Nice.
back home." Yeah,
Perfect. It all worked out.
yeah,
Um, but
and cheaper than flying to Toronto from Dubai or Doha or something like
yeah.
that. I don't know how that's possible, but
Uh, I hate traveling far. I hate it so much. The Austria flight was
um,
brutal.
to be honest, that's not bad for me. 8 hours for me. I don't know what
Mm.
it is for you. I'm guessing.
I
I
can't
don't know
remember
where
how
you're.
long it was. It was from Texas. I can't remember how long it
Okay.
was.
But it was only 8 hours from Calgary to Paris. That I can handle. Um, my usual Tokyo layover to Bangkok is 8 hours, and then Tokyo to Bangkok is six. So I love to split it up that way. But coming home, Bangkok to Vancouver direct is like 14 hours.
Oh,
Like that's a little bit much to me when you're stuck in a window seat and you've got a couple snuggling beside you and you just want to punch them in the face.
oh.
Like, quit loving.
Yeah.
Stop it. I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, I got pretty lucky on my Austria flights. I got both seats. I had a whole row to myself both ways, there and back.
Oh yeah.
I got lucky. Yeah, but My next question is kind of talk about your baby, Dodgeball Live.
Mm,
Let's talk about the origin of it, how it came to
don't
be.
forget the dot.
Yeah, don't forget the dot.
Yeah, you did forget the dot.
I did. I definitely did.
Okay. So actually, this goes back to the whole Dwayne conversation in Worlds 2017. All these questions are leading into each other, hey? So
Yeah, it
he
was that
that's where
good.
he revealed the whole $25,000 for streaming four courts to me. And it's like, dude, I can do that for cheaper. Like, it's pretty normal for a professional broadcast.
Mhm.
But if you keep it within community until the sport is ready to explode and develop in terms of specifically broadcast, you kind of got to keep it in house.
Yeah.
So the question was, do we do YouTube? Is there other avenues? And then that was around the same time that YouTube completely changed its monetization rules and what you can stream when and basically like pissed off a lot of content creators and they started moving away from YouTube. Um, I started looking into Twitch and I randomly sent Twitch an email. Hey, we're streaming dodgeball. What do you guys think? Like what kind of stuff can you do? Because I didn't really know much about Twitch yet.
Mm.
And then they came back to me and Dwayne with, hey, let's meet.
Ooh,
And we're like, okay, so it looks like we're gonna have to make a proposal for them, but it was the opposite. Twitch was actually proposing to us.
that's awesome.
And so they're like, oh, well, you know, we'll give you a partnership. We'll help you. We'll get you on front page and stuff like that. And that became basically every event we did. This is before we really streamed provincial stuff too. So it ended up being once a year we'd have a tournament that would stream there, which isn't great, but I was still a player then too.
Mm.
So there really was nobody to do the streaming for us because of just how things worked.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it's basically a Twitch cold call, and that flipped around on us in a very good way.
it's wild.
And it was the channel was known as Dodgeball Canada back then.
Hmm.
So who owned it was kind of the question, but like in the end, it was like I basically did most of the work towards it, so I got to keep it,
Yeah.
you know. Um, this partnership allowed us to give other dodgeball organizations partnership accounts. Dodgeball Australia has a partner account. Um, they didn't utilize it as much as Canada did, but
Mhm.
USA Dodgeball was also supposed to, but that plan died. The onboarding process died because, and I wrote this down so I would get this right, but um, in Worlds 2018, they planned to stream to YouTube simultaneously, which killed everything.
Oh no.
Not to blame USA Dodgeball, it's not their fault, but that's why Twitch wasn't very happy. Back then, you weren't allowed to do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, so rules are different now.
Yeah.
But the goals of Dodgeball.live have not changed
Mm.
much. Going into being on YouTube now is kind of the most major change, and that was more because it slowly didn't make sense to have the games on Twitch and then move them over to YouTube when we could just do everything on YouTube. It's so much easier to manage. We were able to then look into how do we stop monetizing on Twitch and just do it on YouTube instead, because YouTube allows for more options,
Mm.
like for a uh cheaper support cost. Like instead of I think Twitch is $7.99 for a subscription, whereas YouTube you can do whatever you want. I believe it's at $4.99 right now.
Mm.
Um, you can choose what you want to do with it. You can make it so that like it costs less for viewers. I found that people weren't subscribing on Twitch because it was so expensive for something you're not getting anything for,
Mhm.
right? What do you get? no ads. I
Yeah.
don't even know. And emojis you never use,
Hmm.
right? Most of the viewers on Twitch were never going to watch all the other channels. We would raid music channels, gaming channels, whatever after a Twitch event, and like nobody would stick around.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense to be on Twitch anymore because Dodgeball was not utilizing its features to its full potential because Twitch is community driven. And for whatever reason, we weren't able to harness the power of the dodgeball community to show the dodgeball community outside of the dodgeball broadcast itself because it just didn't work. After people are done watching that finals match, they're off doing life. You
Yeah.
know, who wants to stick around after 12 hours of dodgeball, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
also one of my arguments for why I don't like streaming awards ceremonies, but that's a completely different conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that something like that would make more sense. You don't have it on a live stream, but then you switch to Instagram Live
Mm.
because one of the major issues is like you're always the camera angle isn't good or something happens, and then it'd make more sense to have someone on a phone. It's like go to Instagram Live for exclusive content of that's
Score.
always been my plan, but it just never works out. You
No,
always got to clean up.
yeah. Definitely a great idea doing that, switching over to like a little exclusive, little phone
Yeah,
action. But
yeah.
yeah, that's
Like
sick.
the
And
craziest thing with Twitch too was when we were on there, the there would always be some when we had the partnership. There would always be someone who came in was like, "Nah, wow, I never knew this existed," or "I don't know what I'm watching, but I can't turn away." But yeah, yeah,
that's
that's a
awesome.
tough thing because like ultimately, dodgeball needs primetime ESPN someday.
Yeah.
But COVID kind of made that dream a little bit further away than it once was.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, honestly was happy that you guys switched over to YouTube because like I've always personally liked YouTube more than Twitch. I think YouTube is a lot easier and you're able to rewind a live stream on
It was
YouTube.
a hard sell for me.
Yeah.
Like,
Me on
honestly,
Twitch.
if I could redo this, I would have done that a year before.
Mm.
But I was a bit of a hard ass. I had to
Um,
go through the numbers and see, okay, yeah, I see.
mm. But I mean, like, I feel like the YouTube membership that you guys got going on is such a great idea to like be able to watch like individual games on other stream courts. I think that was a great idea that you all had.
I think Dallas was the first time we experimented with that.
Mhm.
Uh, and it was a bit of a shock, but it made sense because USA Dodgeball technically pays for
Mhm.
two streams, I believe, in different Premier Tour sets, and then so we did a third, and I hate this term, but gated it.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I don't believe that it hurts the viewability of dodgeball because dodgeball isn't easily found randomly still, unless you get a Shota clip on TikTok or Instagram. But the problem with that is they don't know where to, a new viewer doesn't know where to see more of that. If they're interested, where do I look? You
Yeah.
know? So it's been harnessed as individual players, but it hasn't been able to be like a continuation, like a pathway. It's like player to player to player, and here's the highlights. But no, none of those viewers are interested in watching a full live match. It seems, but it's good for the players.
Yeah. I, the players love it for sure. Being able to watch like individual games that was off stream but was on stream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Oh yeah, it was sick. I mean, I really liked the switch over to YouTube. But did you ever expect Dodgeball Live to be where it is today?
No, no, I wouldn't say so. Honestly, if we were only doing one Canadian event a year, how would we,
Yeah.
ever exploded like that? The thing is, and I think Lucas is a huge hand in this. It's Lucas and Megan McCaffrey. Being back at the thing this year was huge in my mind. And then getting the Premier Tour was huge in my mind. If neither of those things happened,
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, I have no idea. I might have retired. you
That
know.
would be crazy. Crazy how dodgeball would be a little different if you weren't around.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, sick. Like, how did you get back to the thing? Because I know Bill was doing the dodgeball database for the thing, and how did that come to be? Always wondered that.
Right. Could you say that question again? I think I
Sorry.
heard it wrong.
No, you're good. So I remember before it was through Bill Fisher with his dodgeball database
Yeah,
stream.
yeah,
How did they reach out to you rather than Bill? Because the Bill's local.
yeah, yeah. So I'll start off with Bill was a huge help for me in 2023, 24, where we were getting doing more and more streams, and Bill kind of got involved.
Mhm.
Um, we went our separate ways after a while. I believe it was after kickoff in 2024, and then Megan McCaffrey approached me about merging for lack of a better term with Dodgeball Hub.
Mhm.
And so I started working together with Dodgeball Hub and those guys and became Player Advantage Ventures. Um, and we have doing all of these new things, new ideas we were adding on to the broadcasts, experimenting every time. One day Lucas reached out to me and was like, I like your direction, I like your goals. We want to work with you again, sort of thing. So
Mhm.
it was Lou who reached out to me. Um, and then it was him and Megan started chatting back and forth because at that point Megan became my manager.
Yeah.
Um, because I am not a front facing I'll do it for X amount of dollars or whatever. Here's my plane ticket. Pay me, please.
Yeah.
So Megan does the proper proposals, or I don't, um, whatever the term is. I don't know. This is how much it might cost, type thing.
Mhm.
If you want to add on these, we might do these. If you want to add on this for no cost, we'll do it, but we'll gate it. That sort of thing. Um, yeah, Lou reached out. He just liked it. He wanted to help me continue to build on, and his idea was the full screen roster graphics, which is a huge thing to take on.
Yeah.
Um, really hard, especially when not everybody has their
Yeah.
headshots.
Yeah.
But that's where the whole idea of we need media days for tournaments
Mhm.
where players are obligated to come in, check in the day before. We'll take all your pictures, we'll get all your headshots into the system. What they do for the big sports, if we ever had ESPN involved, they would require a media day.
Yeah.
And all players have to comply, or like you're not on the streaming court sort of
Mhm.
idea, right? If we don't have the content we need for your team, you won't be on the broadcast. So
Yeah. That'd be sick to be more professional.
yeah, yeah. Lots of things have to happen for that to
Yeah,
to
for
happen.
sure.
So
Yeah, I mean, shout Dodgeball Hub. I mean, Megan's been doing so much work since it's come out or since it's begun.
yeah, I don't know if she has a real job anymore, to be honest.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
It's awesome.
Pulling her hair out, hair turning gray, probably both.
I bet. I bet. But speaking about collabs, can we talk about your collab with Rye with the power rankings and the even like the rush time that you do on the streams?
Yeah. Um, so the power rankings was interesting. That wasn't really a Rye thing to start.
Okay.
And So like both of these kind of came into my mind just randomly. I love rankings, first of all.
Yeah.
Uh, Dodgeball wasn't a sore need for a preceding sort of idea. Like I know that nationals, you've got your top eight teams, and then you add the top four from the other division, and that's your top 12.
Yeah.
But if you were to have a properly seeded tournament, like what do you do in Premier Tour, the events leading up? If you need divisions, like let's say you have three divisions, then you take the top three in your power rankings, and those top three teams would be the top teams in each of those three divisions, and then you keep going down and picking the teams that way. Um, that's what my idea for the power level came from.
Yeah.
It was originally a three-tier system. It didn't really work. Um, I knew it, I just didn't know what to do with it. Um, so it over the first 2 months of the power rankings, the power levels existing, it was constantly changing what
Yeah.
it actually was. But I think it's down to like a pretty close to its final version right now, where you have minor events and major events. Your minor would be like provincials, uh, Premier Tour, any regionals, that sort of thing. I like to keep recreational tournaments out of it, just because a lot of recreational tournaments are one-off teams you're never going to see the same name or the same roster of again.
Yeah.
Then you got the major tournaments like your nationals, your club championships, your uh, if you have a tournament with major international implications, kickoff, mid-season clash, the thing, uh, those sorts of ideas. Sometimes you have U.S. teams go to Westerns, but I don't think it's major enough to warrant a major tournament compared to a provincials or a Premier Tour.
Mhm.
But uh, so the major tournaments have double the points
Yeah.
compared to what the minor tournaments are. I think it's minor tournaments are first place you get 1,000 points, second place is 600 points, and then so on and so on, and then it doubles up for major. But it's kind of almost based off of the tennis system, which is what uh, Sean Wheeler was huge in wanting or
Mhm.
suggesting when he first saw this. He was pretty, what is this? What is it like?
Yeah.
How can we do to fix it? Like, it doesn't make sense. Uh, like, so I had to like, we really worked through it hard
Hmm.
together, and Lucas actually noticed it, and he's caught, you know, thought like maybe we use it for seating and the thing. And I know Mark reached out about seating in Dodgeball Toronto events, and I think that might have been based on something that Wheeler said to him about. The thing that I did not expect with this system was that Valkyrie would be maxed out all the time in their points.
Yeah.
And honestly, I spent a lot of time. This is for lack of better explaining on my part, but I tried for a while trying to make Valkyrie not look so powerful, but it's impossible.
Yeah.
They're just too powerful. But that's why I think the system works, because then you look on the men's side and Outsiders is on top, but you've got Mavs, you've got Saiyan Elite, you've got Hex, you've got Shred. Shred was kind of down there
Yeah.
for a while because they had a really rough go this year. So like you could see if you look at Shred's fluctuation over this past year,
Mm.
that to me that showed that this system kind of works because it was a little bit ruthless on Shred because of its 12th place at the thing.
Yeah.
A little unfair, but um, you know, it kind of like they had to really work hard because they weren't Premier Tour. They kind of
Yeah.
they weren't having the best of luck either, right?
Yeah.
So, but then they won in nationals. They won in Dallas, I believe.
Yes, they won in
Um,
Dallas. Yeah.
yeah, and that's where it was like that's where you really saw that it
Yeah.
kind of worked out. Outsiders is still on top, but
Yeah. No, it's a dope system. I'm pretty sure a lot of people love the rankings.
yeah. The one thing I do notice is that for example, you've got New Era as they're a pretty powerful team at times. But because they don't travel, they
Yeah.
don't have as many major events as Mavericks or Saint Elite or Hex. Hard as foam, I think, is ahead of them too.
Yeah.
So it definitely uh, rewards the teams that take partake more in the major events.
Yeah.
If New Era went and took their thing invitation in 2025, they probably would be up there.
Yeah. Well, we're hoping they accept the invite for this year or next year coming up. But
I believe they have, but their captain, I understand, is currently getting surgery soon. So um, I believe like it would be nice to see them soon.
yeah, of
Let's hope for 2027 or whatever happens,
course you want them up
or
there.
whatever the plan is for the thing, because it hasn't been announced yet either. So
Yeah. Hopefully it gets announced soon. feel like they do a pretty good job announcing it pretty early, but I feel like this year they're taking their time on it.
it's there may be changes.
Hmm.
Um, there's if you look at that April and May schedule, March, April, May, it's not very forgiving
No.
for the amount of tournaments, and we don't even know Premier Tour dates yet. So
Yeah, I know they're trying to be nice and like kind of schedule around stuff
yeah,
with Canada and
yeah,
everything, but
it's been nice over the past few years because everybody's kind of communicating with everybody else.
yeah,
So we'll see. The time that they're taking is concerning, but there's always a good reason for it. So
yeah. I mean, they could take up all like always like the week before. I'm sure their teams will still go anyways because the thing is just that
yeah.
good of a tournament. So
Now the rush times.
yeah, the rush times.
That was another how do we expand on this idea? And I was like, oh, it's kind of like okay, cool. Well, one of my favorite tournaments this year was Tucson Premier Tour. It was a lot tighter, more everybody was kind of like talking with everybody. It was like the first tournament of the year for USA Dodgeball, so
Yeah,
everybody hadn't seen each other for a
yeah,
while. So me being there, I was like going in and like, oh, I don't know anybody. I guess I'm gonna meet some new people today. Um, and I met a lot of new people that day.
yeah,
Um, so one of the things that came up during that tournament was, and I want to say this was Danchenko, was like, I wish we could time Aaron Goodwin's rushes and talk
Mhm.
about it when he like it was specifically for Aaron Goodwin. And like ever since we started doing this, I don't think we timed his rushes once
Oh no,
because he was injured for a while too,
yes,
right?
yeah, he is injured.
Um, and so we did that. We did some offline tests. We figured out how we could do it digitally through using like digital stopwatches and stuff like that. And the way to expand on this would be it would be tough because you would need uh, RF signals on the activation lines, plus having an RF chip inside the ball, which is not happening anytime soon,
No,
because that would mess with the weight and it would
yeah,
mess with the curve. So it's like
yeah,
you saw that in hockey when they started putting chips inside the puck
yeah, yeah,
and the puck started doing wonky things.
yeah,
So like to do this, you got to do it right.
yeah,
I don't know if Boden's going to be willing to do something like that, but maybe someday if we can. But right now, it's done pretty well, and I have messed up times before,
Mhm.
but like there's always a way to. It's not like it's within zero point 0.2
Yeah,
seconds every time, I believe. So it's not too bad.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it's been fun. People like to see how fast each team is versus the other. So
No, it's a really nice little feature like during the streams because it just looks so nice. Like it looks very professional. But yeah. My next question.
Hold on, I
Cat.
gotta go blow my nose.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Like, I'm having a really hard time over here. I'll be right back.
Yeah, we're all a little sniffly right now. This cold front came in and just hit me brutally. I'm about to go blow my nose too.
Oh my goodness. I know you don't edit these and you just kind of put them up as is. Unless you do edit them, I don't realize it. But like, I'm sorry for ruining your podcast and having a little bit of empty air there.
No, it is what it is. I think everyone knows what just happened. They re-announced it, so I kind of try to talk in the dead space, but I also blew my nose, so it all worked out. But let's talk about like the preparation setup and take down your streaming setup. Like, how is
Yeah.
it just flying with your streaming setup?
Depends on the event. My biggest thing is always like, do I have everything I need in case something goes wrong, something breaks? There's always options. You always need backup plans. I feel like that's what I tell everybody all the time is if you don't have a backup plan, you're gonna fail. Um, so I have a few options for suitcases, backpacks, that sort of thing. I have hard cases that I like to check bags for. If it's a simple one camera stream and all I bring is my laptop and the camera and the cables. Like I don't need a lot as long as like the organizers are providing like um, power cables, extension cords, that sort of thing. Because that's the hardest thing to travel with is extension cords. They're
Yeah.
so heavy.
Mm,
Um, they add like 5 pounds each just for 10 feet of extension cord, and 10 feet isn't always enough.
yeah.
But sometimes it's in my carry-on, other times it's in multiple checked bags. If I need a tripod, that sort of thing. It's just every event, the 2 3 days leading up to it, I'm at least doing some sort of packing or
Mhm.
inventory. Um, so, for example, Canadian Nationals, like a month and a bit ago, I only used half the stuff, half the equipment I actually packed.
Yeah.
But I used my biggest case because we also had like a replay camera on the sidelines, which we wanted to be a good camera. So
Mhm.
like we were able to make that work. But something can go wrong just in case, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes it works out perfectly, but packing is one of the most stressful parts because
I
once
bet.
you get there, it's like, you know, have I been to that venue before, right? For
Mhm.
USA, Dustin Harwood was amazing, and I know I keep touting his name, but he would send photos and ideas of what he thinks is best because he knows by the time we were working for the second or third event, I think it was after Cleveland, we were like, he knows what I need. Uh, Lucas is another one. He knows what I need. He doesn't even have to ask. He just sends it.
Yeah.
Um, Seattle and Dallas were great for Premier Tour because I've been in similar venues before.
Mhm.
Um, Seattle was very much like Dallas. Dallas, I was at FTC last year. Um, Sometimes going in blind is hard because does the venue have internet?
Yeah.
You know, Minneapolis was a Wi-Fi, a timed Wi-Fi. Cleveland was as well. So you always got to watch for that time that the internet's going to cut out on you.
Brutal.
Testing the night before is important because if you don't, you're going to have a bad time. If you're setting up the day of, you
Yeah.
just can't. You just can't.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have no choice,
Mhm.
but usually, if you haven't at least gone to check out the venue the night before, then you're even more blind the next day. But once you're about 2 hours into streaming, it's like, oh, well, this isn't so bad.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was stressing, you know. So
But
Boston was the toughest.
yeah.
My flights were delayed. But Tree
Oh,
and Rennie, I mentioned them before. They were a huge help. I think CJ, I think video called me. I think it was CJ. Frankie was around.
mm,
But I was able to go in and set up 1 hour before the first match, and we were fine,
nice.
right? That's never going to happen so well again. But it was a huge help that I got to see the venue over video call the night before. So um, it was still the worst angle of all Premier Tour. It was the worst camera angle.
Mhm.
There's not much we could do about
Yeah,
that.
you had a 1 hour, 1 hour to set up before.
Yeah, but
Uh,
I mean, I couldn't even fix it if I wanted to because the back line of the court was so close to that. There was like a really thick netting in Boston, like
mm,
more thicker than um I don't know whatever Dallas uses. They kind of put up their own nets, but uh, it was like you have those nets at nationals, but you have them layered 3 times.
oh,
That's how
geez.
like you could hurt yourself. It was like a brick wall running into those nets, but
Yeah.
you couldn't just put a camera there.
Try to see through.
Yeah,
That's
because it
crazy.
was like 2 feet away from the back line anyways. So
Hmm.
those courts were a bit smaller too. I think they were smaller than classic no sting courts.
Mm,
Keeping in mind too, Boston was a no sting only.
only round. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
get used to that. I think, in my opinion,
Mm. But
one ball type per round is like the way to go, in my opinion. So we shall see.
yeah, I think that's going to be the trend coming up. But
Hmm.
uh now the day's over. It's time to pack up. How is packing up for you?
Oh, much faster than setting up.
Yeah,
I am a little fussy on where things go.
of
Things never
course.
end up in the same place every time,
Yeah.
but the packing up, like I can do it within an hour pretty easily.
Nice.
As long as like I'm not required to do award ceremonies, that sort of thing. Which
Yeah.
again I hate doing.
Mhm.
Um, but like there's always some venues it's like get out now, we have volleyball teenagers coming in, and then or a basketball team, and suddenly you're getting hit in the face with basketballs.
Yeah.
Um, where did that happen? Uh, oh, that was almost Seattle. There
Oh
was like
no.
a kids scrimmage basketball game going on in Seattle. It might have been Dallas. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was Seattle. I can't really remember, but like that's the sort of thing is, are you going up against another event
Hmm.
right at the end? How much time do you got? So like,
That's
it's much
crazy.
easier to clean up than set up for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I for sure understand like the stuff that going the same way that you packed it in. That's always brutal.
Yeah, as long as you don't add, if you're at your limit for checked bags, as long as you don't go that 1 pound over, you're fine.
Um,
50 pounds max.
Gotta push your toe up against it.
Yeah.
Take some weight off. But let's go into some playing dodgeball questions. Where did you start playing dodgeball?
Dodgeball Winnipeg, actually. It's my hometown home league. Not hometown technically, but that's the only town anyone knows the name of in
Mm,
Manitoba.
yeah.
So, so I always say Winnipeg.
Mhm.
But there was an article or a news TV thing where there was a 300-pound guy lost weight playing dodgeball and
Wow.
lost like I don't remember the exact wording, but like somebody lost a lot of weight playing dodgeball and he looked like really in shape.
Mhm.
I shouldn't be blanking on the guy's name. He was a very prominent player in the community, and like I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, but
Mhm.
uh I could probably Google it quick. But basically, we were like, "Oh, let's look into this league," um, and we did, and that's how we met. We played. I played with a group of friends called Super Smash Balls. Um, that was my first team. We played on Tuesday nights, and then the second season we joined a draft league. and met new people and started joining teams. Um, uh, and then just kind of grew from there.
It's
Yeah.
tough. Yeah, I didn't even hear about that story, but the losing weight
Oh,
one.
80 pounds. 80 pounds, Randy Fife.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah. Imagine losing 80 pounds from playing dodgeball.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That would be amazing though.
Yeah. At one point, he says, I started putting on large shirts and felt like maybe I'm no longer an athletic person. Maybe this is how I'm going to be for the rest of my life. And that's when he decided to change.
Nice. I wonder if he still plays.
Look that up too. I think I remember, I think I didn't see him when I was last playing, and I haven't seen him recently. He doesn't play on any provincial based teams.
Mhm.
Um, so maybe not,
Mhm. Nice.
at
But
least
I
from
mean,
what I've seen.
that's an amazing story. But
Yep.
how did you know you were hooked on dodgeball?
Uh, when I started playing 2 days a week,
Yeah.
really. That one's an easy one. Like you
Yeah.
started joining teams and you were like, oh, hey, there's a Real Cup is coming up, which is Manitoba's provincial championships. And this was 2017. It might have been 2016, actually, leading into the long weekend that year. Um, and I was like, I just went on a team of randoms who some of them I'm still friends with now. And we just played, got destroyed by the better players. Um, the thing is that a lot of the better players, you know of from that are based in Manitoba weren't even around yet. So these better players back then are now this might be lack of a better term, are kind of medium players now. I don't know what else to use, but the players you would get destroyed by back then were like Nate Gatza and um, Kevin Harder. A lot of them are based on Dark Horse now, Tempest, and a couple of others spread out. I don't think Tempest is a team anymore, actually, but like that, those were the main staples of that community back then. Chris Moises, who doesn't play anymore, Eldon Wu still does
Mhm.
here and there. That guy is ageless, by the way. Um, I swear, ever since I met him, nothing's changed about him. You know.
Asians.
He could be 50 years old and I wouldn't even know.
Asian genetics. Uh,
I wasn't going to say it, but you're right.
no, we all know it.
Yeah.
Um, but do you still play?
Well, I mean, other than API,
Yeah,
um,
other API.
no, not really. I ball retrieve for Apex on Thursday nights. Apex
Mhm.
is my provincial home team. Um, they or home club, I guess. That's the club I started with when things were kind of getting hashed out in Manitoba and clubs started forming in different ways. Kind of when the Monstars became a new era, or I think they were new era. There was a team in between actually. There's Monstars, YWG, and something else.
Mhm.
And YWG is based on the airport letters of Winnipeg.
Oh, yeah.
YWG was the second overall team, and then there was a third one called Whiteout, which is based on the Winnipeg Jets whiteout thing that they do during the playoffs. And then those teams kind of merged to become New Era, and that's the sort of time where clubs started forming. And Apex was one of those at the time. I believe Apex might be older than New Era, to be honest. Um, so like yeah, other teams, other clubs have kind of died off in Manitoba and became others. Like Vengeance turned into Dark Horse.
Mhm.
They kind of cut players that they didn't want anymore. Apex picked them up. That's kind of like players get cut and picked up, and that's kind of the interesting about thing about every provincial season. This happens in all provinces. You see players get upset with others, and then it just kind of becomes drama, and then like another team picks someone up.
Yeah.
You saw it with uh Rampage out of Ontario became merged with Mavericks,
Yeah.
and then some players were left on the outside as a result of it. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's sometimes it's a hard, ruthless reality. But
Yeah.
look at what the number one teams are, though. Or they're the ones that kind of merged from the past.
Yeah.
So
Gotta love a good team shakeup,
yeah, yeah.
a little roster mania.
Except Hardest Foam, they've kind of always been that way.
Yeah, Hearthstone I feel like it's always been the same team since they
Yeah.
started, which is a great way to be a team. Um,
I kind of wonder if there's inner drama on Hardest Foam just for fun. I'm very curious.
I'm sure, but clearly they've gotten through
Pete
it and
Decker,
stuck
why do you
together.
keep doing that?
I mean, he's
I'm
got to
sorry,
if he's
man.
he's got
I
to.
need,
He's stuck
yeah,
around for that long.
I need the clips from a TikTok. Sorry. I think it's just Instagram, but anyways.
uh, can you share any memorable moments or experiences from your dodgeball journeys?
Oh, uh, now you have to make me think because I didn't write anything down for this question because I haven't really. It's just all just a journey,
Yeah,
honestly. Like from being on the original Dodgeball Manitoba board and helping bring that up, and being sort of believed in by Matt Klacheski, and in turn also Dwayne Wazinski. Um, all of these things kind of just fell into place. And then my interactions with Nick Factorin over the past few years leading into his trust in me coming into the Premier Tour this year, like all of these relationships and networking that I've done over the years, there's always somebody who's like, it's kind of interesting that there's always somebody who's like, oh yeah, I know that Mitch guy. But if you think about it, the fact is, I have no idea who that person is.
mhm.
There's always in API, oh, you're the legendary Mitch, someone said. I'm like, I don't even know who you are. Like, what makes you think I'm legendary?
Yeah,
Like please. Like, I don't know. This is why I'm like, I'm more of a behind the scenes, behind the camera kind of guy, because I don't know how to react to these sorts of things.
mhm.
I'm like, leave me alone outside of dodgeball. You can talk to me inside dodgeball, but like, I don't like people. I love my basement. You see how dark this is? Look, I almost put up a red light just to add some ambiance. Do I have a red light still? No, it's not red. That won't be cool enough. But like, that's kind of like my hermit sort of life that I
No, I
live.
feel you.
But I see it a lot when one of my first, it was actually Worlds 2017. I keep coming to this one where we had a Halloween tournament, dress up tournament that happened after, like the day after the championship match, and a lot of the Worlds players were still there, and like I took part in it. I think I was dressed up as an assassin from Assassin's Creed.
Mhm.
Um, But then taking the train to the airport afterwards, like I found myself tearing up, kind of crying in a way, because
Mhm.
I was like, oh, this was way too much, too many people.
Mhm.
Like, but at the same time, oh, I love this community. I love what it is. And then I kind of the same thing sometimes happens coming home from USA tour events, because it's like every community is different, and being involved in a lot of the world, like a lot of the international communities, it allows me to see that there is some negativity out there. There is some negative aspects to it that are kind of unfair, but also duly, like they make sense, that it's like because people within the communities don't like in Canada, you don't really know how the USA system works. You don't know how the New Zealand system, the Australia system, the European system, the Malaysia system, you don't really know. Every community has its own drama in different ways. And that's just hopefully what helps build dodgeball into a better system overall. But it's going to be a long time before every single one of these systems are kind of unified. And that kind of worries me. Because how long before dodgeball can be a worldly known sport that they don't know it because of a movie, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the things that I think of in what are memorable moments is basically reflecting on the individual communities and what's negative and positive about every one. Because if you combine them all the negativity and positivity, all of that would be canceled out into just positive. But eh, national orgs don't really work together all the time. So
Yeah. Unfortunate. That's why there's so many different rules.
yeah, yep.
That's awesome. Uh, definitely feel you on the whole what's it called? What's the term? When you run out of batteries, your social battery.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
social battery. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a huge problem for me.
Yeah.
Like, so if you know if yeah, I was worried for this Philly end of year thing because it's like, oh, mandatory that you go to the dodgeball
Oh,
afterwards and you have
dodgeball.
to dress in a suit. And I'm like, I don't want to go to that, but if I have to represent myself or Dodgeball Hub there, I guess so. But but
That's
like if
awesome.
you don't ever see me at the after parties, like that is why.
Yeah.
I purposely went to the Nationals after party because like I knew Dustin was gonna win that events award and I kept on bugging him about it. And like I just wanted to be the guy to be like, told you so.
That's awesome. You had a
But then
motivation.
I went straight to my hotel room afterwards. So
Nice. Um, do you have any specific milestones or goals you'd like to achieve before you kind of retire from the dodgeball scene?
oh man, retirement's a long way off, but I love my current WDBF role. It's a bit basically a broadcast liaison.
Mhm.
That was sort of my role at API as well, in a sense. I helped the production company that was in at API for the finals day understand what's going on in the sport, understand that you can't play replays during the game. Um, understand that you can't play replays too long, that you're going to cut off the opening rush, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like, if they'll be in my ear, even while I'm refing, they were in my ear
What?
saying, but yeah, but they were like, oh, why did so and so do this? And like, and that's how I knew, for example, the when I called Eric Nelson out on that back line,
Mhm.
remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that one.
And I was like, I swear I saw what I saw, and that's
Mhm.
why I did it. But everyone else was like, no. The Australians on the sidelines were like, yeah, and Sean Wheeler was like, don't listen to them, they're Australian, and I thought that was hilarious. Um, and in my ear, I could hear the guys watching the replay, and they were like, oh yeah, that was totally he was like a whole foot out or something like that because they had it on the camera.
Mhm.
But like as a ref, I feel like that's unfair because I shouldn't be listening to that.
Yeah.
But when I went into the huddle, because we talked about it, and the backline ref was like, "Yeah, no, that wasn't. I didn't see it," type thing. So it didn't happen, and we have to go with the backline ref as a respect thing. Because,
Mhm.
but like, I didn't even bring up what I heard in my ear because that would not be good. Because
Mhm.
if we're doing that, you have to do that for all matches,
Yeah.
right?
Just make it
So
fair. Yeah.
I kept my mouth shut during that chat, and I'm
Mhm.
just like, yep, I respect. Let's leave it at that.
Man, that would be
But I
crazy
was
if
right. But
ref
anyways,
that'd be crazy if refing evolved to that, where you got like earpieces in your ear like that.
I mean, I know a way that it can be done because I build systems in my everyday job that do
Hmm.
that sort of thing,
Yeah.
where a ref can go to a replay box, look back at a clip and see, did I see that right? But like, there's no dodgeball version of this,
Yeah.
but I'm sure I can build one
Yeah. Well,
someday, hopefully.
the Victorian Dodgeball League in Australia, their finals they allowed one team replay of a call, which I don't know
Really?
if you haven't checked it out yet, definitely go check it out. They just had it, and it's a really cool little system they got going on. It's really cool.
Oh, Victoria, didn't they do that for API last year too?
I don't know about API last year. I know they had
'Cause
replays, but I don't know if you could
yeah.
challenge a play because they had it for this
Oh,
one
okay.
where you're able to
That would be
actually.
different for if the replays are instant, but I know there was a system where you could send in a form request and say, "Can you overturn this?" But that's hard to do unless you do it instantly within the match.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. But
Oh, but there's I feel like when this sport really gets into the broadcast world, like I would be the perfect person to be in the middle, in between the organizations and the broadcast production side, because I would probably know how to communicate with both easily. And that's kind of happening in Mexico right now, unrelated to the local orgs there. That's pretty exciting. But if you think about it, no, this sounds so good. Um, if you think about it, the Game Awards just signed a deal with Amazon, right? Sports has been a hit on both Netflix, Prime Video, and other platforms. You've got their Monday Night Hockey on Amazon Prime, stuff like that. Um, Something like this would bring millions more eyes to the sport than just Twitch or YouTube ever will by itself, because they have the eyes just randomly logging in, and when they see, oh, dodgeball in their face,
yeah.
then they'll click it. But you're never going to see dodgeball on in your face when you go to Twitch or YouTube, because it just doesn't work that way. So
That would be
that's the
cool.
future, in my opinion. And I know that's going to be like, oh, I don't want to pay monthly to watch dodgeball. Well, it's never going to grow if you don't.
True. If the dodgeball is the one to watch it.
Tell me I'm wrong. So that now based on that though, you can grow. I'm getting into this how to grow dodgeball in the future using media thing, but like you can utilize social media to grow dodgeball. You can get those random views. You can get those players doing highlights, stuff like that. That's really good. It's really good what players are doing for the sport. But it doesn't lead to like currently live in Dallas or currently live in New York where we got this event, it there's a disconnect there because there's no way to say, hey, this is where the next event is. Come
Yeah.
check it out. You know, it's, it's tough. There
Mhm.
has to be a lot of more coordination to make it perfect in the end.
Yeah.
And I love what Dodgeball Toronto does because during their events they're recording all the time and then they're posting such good highlights, clips, slow mos, everything. And like Mark has really harnessed the power of social media. Um, but it grows dodgeball. It doesn't grow dodgeball in general, but it grows dodgeball viewability at least, but only for a short time.
Yeah. The little hype that it has.
Yeah, yeah. And good promotion for the sport though too. Good promotion for next events, upcoming events. And it might be like local people in Toronto be like, "Oh, I've never known this dodgeball exists." And then it grows his league, which is great.
Mhm.
I believe Dodgeball Winnipeg is doing something similar with socials, and ad posts and Facebook and stuff. And like that's kind of the way to grow the sport locally. I'm not entirely sure if it works long term media wise, or if someday maybe a broadcast network sees these Facebook ads and is like, oh, well, we need to make this exclusive. You
Yeah.
know,
I feel like we're a little far from
we
that.
haven't seen it yet, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But it just takes one for it to blow up, hopefully.
Yeah, well, we still see that Hong Kong Worlds part 2 of the
Yeah.
World Championships for some stupid reason. Nobody wants to watch part 1.
Yeah.
So
For some reason
that's an
that gets,
anomaly,
yeah.
a massive anomaly that makes no sense to me.
It has a bunch of views though.
It does, but are they real?
Who knows? It's
Yeah.
keeps coming up though.
That can't be harnessed because there's no way to be like, oh, you like this? Well, watch this too. Most of the people are watching like the first maybe 1 minute.
Yeah.
if
Like,
you
oh,
put
cool.
if you put annotations at the end of like, hey, watch this match too, no one's ever gonna see it.
Yeah.
So that's why it's hard for dodgeball. Honestly, it makes it seem like if you've got a 40-minute match, how do you cut down a 40-minute match to a 10-minute highlight video of all the best plays in that match or the best ending moments in that match for each set? Cut a 40-minute match down to 5 minutes even. That's your highlight. You see that on TV all the time these days,
Yeah.
where they've got time to kill, and you have half an hour. You watch an entire hockey match in half an hour
Yeah.
because you see the best parts. You don't see the boring parts where it's like, oh,
Mhm.
which guy gets the penalty? I don't know. You
Yeah.
know, and then all of a sudden you see the power play goal like
Yeah.
right
But
away. You know,
yeah, the retention rate of
it's
people is getting
that's
lower and lower.
that's what I feel might be next steps for dodgeball if we want to turn a 40-minute match into an short edible bit.
Yeah. Or like a minute, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Attention spans are getting lower and lower.
Hmm.
Um, but any advice you want to give to someone trying to stream their tournament?
Preparation, really. This is what I told CJ when he started streaming DMV events.
Yeah.
You can't just go into a venue, set up, and expect everything will work. There's
Mhm.
always going to be something that doesn't go right. Internet issues, camera disconnects, audio not working, which unfortunately he saw some of that. Um, but you're always going to have a snag, but that's why it's good to have a dedicated crew, even if it's just one person who has seen these issues before and knows how to fix them when it happens. Now, CJ has an event or two under his belt. Now he knows what to do next time, you know? Once you have your first one, you're kind of good to do another, you know?
Yeah. When you speak upon that, were you the person that kind of like switched over, going back to API stream where the mainstream was lagging on those that
Mhm.
final day? Were you the one that suggested to switch over to the WTBF live stream?
Uh, the whole plan was always to have the WDBF channel streaming those final matches. I was the
Okay.
one running those, yes.
Okay.
So I the production company was streaming to them, and I was just moving the streams to each proper matchup. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, because I feel like that could have been really bad if there wasn't the switch or the streaming to
I
WTBF.
was pretty lucky because my flight, the matches were kind of getting delayed, and my flight out of Christchurch was pretty close. I
Oh,
didn't get to see the final
oh
match,
no.
but I did get to at least end like put the uh, end the stream when I had the chance because I was watching at the airport at that point.
Mhm.
So
Nice.
it worked
Yeah,
out.
that's all the questions that I have. We're going to the crowdsource questions. Thank you to everyone that sent some questions. A couple from Instagram. First one's from Simon Harrison. How long's his K? Q?
Q like a
Okay.
lineup.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, that's an inside joke, as you may have guessed.
Mhm.
So working with the API guys. Oh, what kind of language can I have on here? Like,
You can do whatever you
is
want.
okay, all right. So my Canadian accent was quite interesting, and even with Simon, you got to tell him to kind of slow down because I don't really quite understand his mumbling New Zealand accent.
Yeah.
Um, but it was great working with the API guys, Simon and Rob, Maria and Joel, who were there as well. I can't go anywhere in the world now without seeing a long lineup and thinking of them because of this. Uh, they poked at fun at me for something. I can't remember what it was. I think I said something and like I blanked out and was like, what? And then I kind of realized was that, and then I did my classic fuck you, like, a Canadian accent.
Yeah.
And they thought I was referring to a long lineup, and I was like, why are you talking about a far Q? But they were saying it in the Aussie accent that they have. So it's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's far away. It's like a far Q. We don't know where that Q is, the long lineup. It's a far Q. So it's like, okay,
That's
yeah,
funny.
all right. I
That's funny.
deserved it. That's the story behind the long lineup.
That's awesome. Next question from Xander Simos. How was it like to call Xander out 4 times on center line?
I was fearing for my freaking life. Um,
It's his fault. His fault.
so, well, yeah, no, tie your shoes. It was actually the neutral attack line on the opposition side.
Okay.
So it was a clock game.
Mhm.
Um, Sometimes it was his attack foot, so the follow through, which means if he made a hit, it would have counted anyways. But my job in that match was literally to watch the lines, and that was it.
Mhm.
Just kind of how I got the Eric Nelson step out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, Originally, the second ref was scheduled to be a player associated with dugongs, which I mentioned before already. That was a conflict of interest. I was requested. If it was Shred that requested me, I'm not 100% sure. Um, but I definitely showed that I was not picking favorites in that match. However, that match probably had the most line calls out of any match throughout the entire tournament.
That was a bunch of line
And
calls.
like it wasn't just Xander. Um, Although he probably had most. Did I feel terrible? Yes. I also believed it kind of showed there might be a bit of lacking of the quality of refing worldwide
Mhm.
because I don't know how, like, I feel bad for Xander, but like, there's got to be somebody else in those finals matches that weekend that also hit that many lines that just was never called,
Yeah.
right? So, um, it's a hard job.
Yeah.
Especially if you're worried that your friends are gonna be pissed off at you afterwards. In the moment, yeah, they seem like what you know,
Yeah.
getting in my face and being all like, "What do you mean that was lying?" I'm like, "I saw what I saw."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what you want from me. Like, in the immortal words of CM Punk, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. But nobody's making money, so
Nobody's
jokes
making
on
money.
me, I guess. So. But I did
Uh,
call lines on dugongs too. It wasn't just tread. So
yeah. Yeah. I feel like there in a proper world there needs to be a middle line ref or in cloth, the line refs. But
yeah, yeah, and cloth line refing is pretty hard because you've got three lines to watch. You got the line at the middle ball rush, and then you've
rush,
got the
yeah.
attack lines that you don't have to think about till after. But there was times where I actually called a line out by looking in between another guy's legs and seeing that guy on the other side hit the line. I'm like, that
Yeah.
was one of the dugongs calls, and I'm like, yeah, that was totally a line. I did not miss that one.
Awesome.
Like you gotta really be creative with that sort of thing.
Yeah. Uh, shout out Xander.
Yeah, yeah. Simos. I hope you're not too mad at me.
It's his fault. Next question. Oh,
Yeah, but I also am the type to be like, oh, so how much of that fault is mine though? Because I'm like self-reflecting to a curse point. So
yeah.
it's a bad thing. It can cause depression sometimes.
Know what you mean.
And that's why I don't go to after parties.
All right. Next question is from Dustin Harwood on Facebook now. He has a couple questions. Uh, yes/no answer only is requiring 2 points of contact for a catch athletic or not. Yes or no answer only.
Uh, Nest. Yo, what? Next.
Next. Um, favorite tournament to live stream.
Uh, favorite tournament to live stream. Is this similar to my top three tournaments this year, maybe? Because I pretty much would have live streamed
Those
most of
tournaments you
them.
attended. Yeah.
The live stream one specifically is pretty tough. Um, that's a hard one because I'll turn this into my top three tournaments this year because I know that's also a question that was on Facebook too.
Mm.
And what made them stand out? First of all, I think I'm going to shout out Boston Dodgeball League that had a really fun Nickelodeon themed tournament. It's not
Oh
on
yeah.
my top three, but it was really fun. It really was a good bookend on what could have been a disastrous weekend with the Boston League. And I know I keep saying that, but like there's things that could have gone even worse wrong than actually did. um, there's a lot of tournaments I'm not able to attend, so I don't know if it's really fair to pick favorites. For example, I wasn't able to make it to both Toronto tournaments. The first one was Manitoba Provincials on the same weekend, and then the one after that, I had work obligations, and it just didn't work out. And even if I'm not streaming, sometimes I just like to go to tournaments to participate, have fun, ball retrieve. I do that quite often, um, especially locally. Um, I love I love invitationals. So naturally, the thing is going to be close to the top of my list. I was
Mm.
devastated when I wasn't at the 2024 one. So I was happy to be at this new one. That's where you get the top competitive teams. Like you're never going to have a bad match type scenarios in theory if you do
Yeah.
it properly. Um, so like I love true invitationals. It's the stories that lead up to each team getting invited and qualifying, the stories of these teams meeting up in the past, the whole what's wrong with Shred story that came up over the last while. Hex kind of running the gauntlet and in the playoffs, even though they weren't even in the top four for round robin, I don't think. The Valkyrie coming in and just destroying everyone. Um, it was unfortunate for Storms showing because they ended up in 12th, but it was good to see them there. Sorry, not Storm, Feral. They were
Mm.
Storm. They were known as Storm the year before, which allowed them to qualify as Feral. Um, uh, seeing Invasion and uh, oh, why am I blanking on some team names now? There's so many good teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frenzy was not there. What's the other F team? Or is
Uh
it not an F team?
Finesse.
No, no, they weren't there, I don't think.
No, not last year.
Let me look at my power rankings because it's literally on top. Flex.
Flex.
That's the one I wasn't
Yeah.
named. Yeah, Flex and Caffeine,
Mm.
right?
Caffeine.
Caffeine and
Yeah.
oh, or Royals were there too. So it was good to see. It was good to see a wide variety of the teams from across North America. I love that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, my second one was the Cloth Open in Winnipeg.
Mm.
I bring this one up because I love a good tournament at home.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit
Of
biased,
course.
but seeing U.S. players come up to Winnipeg, despite being in Dallas the weekend before, like you're crazy for doing that. That's so much dodgeball in the span of a whole month because you got nationals coming up in 2 weeks too when they did that.
Yeah.
Um, and like it was the US national cloth squad that showed up, the practice squad, I guess. Um, and it showed us Manitobans and Canadians how cloth is done properly, right? So it's like a bit of a humbling experience, but I was like, it's kind of scary when you see Justin Payan walk into your hometown and be all like, "Oh, I'm going to destroy
Yeah.
everybody." Him and Ketchum, you know.
Yeah. for sure.
And then API, of course, is my third. I already did special mention to the Boston Dodgeball League tournament, but I also want to mention that the Tucson round was very fun for me.
Mhm.
When everybody was like, "Oh, very welcoming, very accommodating, loved having me around." We all chatted. Never in a moment I felt like an outsider.
Nice.
So, um, yeah, the
That's awesome.
honorary American, I guess. I don't know if can legally be allowed to say that anymore, but
You definitely are.
I guess Danchenko's the only one that can actually legally.
That is true. But as much as you travel to the US, I think you're an honorary American. Great list you got there. Uh, Next question is funniest anecdote from commentary you've heard ever?
That's tough because like I don't really remember things from streams. Like I'll say turn this into what might be my top uh player commentators who say the coolest things, or commentators who are never boring to me. Oh,
Mhm.
that might be like anyone who don't mention are terrible. That's not what I
Yeah.
mean. Um, here's something. David Carlock is great.
Mhm.
David Carlock, if he ever got injured and just retires, he could do dodgeball commentary forever. He knows everybody. He knows the games. He knows cloth and foam. Like that's rare for a commentator.
Yeah.
He knows the backstories of everything. You never have to like give him information. He just knows it. And if he doesn't know it, he'll ask without assuming something he says is correct, which has been a huge problem in the past.
Mhm.
Um, Second, I can't ever not mention Ben Johnson and Terry Thrasher, who are two of the most creative guys on the mic. Terry can say funny things, but he gets into serious mode when it's time to get into serious mode, and he adjusts to whatever his partner is like. So it's
Mhm.
like the perfect combination no matter who is with him. Same with Ben Johnson. Like you might have some the difference there is Ben loves to just play by play only. It's hard for him to adjust, and I know this, and he knows this. There's commentators I will have on my list that never put with Ben Johnson because it's like you just it just won't be great.
Mhm.
It'll like be a lot of stepping on toes, and like it's hard to adjust sometimes, right? But his anecdotes are always quite good, prepared. He's always going on the court and asking questions to players before the match. So he like does his research to like the highest level. Um, and like I've had in the past, Elisa Westman has mentioned you always she's mentioned in the past, and she's not wrong. You always need an American voice when you've got an American team on the court. With the amount of research that Ben Johnson does, and if everybody does this amount of research, that's not really true anymore. Although it can be because you get some of the stories like David Carlock has. Um, and Alyssa Westman has those stories as well. But I am totally comfortable with having a full Canadian team on commentary doing a full American match on the court, especially if you got Halen Sky, Eugene Liu, Ben Johnson, Terry Thrasher on the mic because they just know everybody. And if they don't know everybody, they go and do their research for it. And that those are like the epitome voices, in my opinion, in that sense. Nick Danchenko has been great. I think I only first met him in Tucson.
Yeah.
Um, like he's just a natural. Sometimes you have to harness his power and just be like, "Calm down, dude.
The
Calm
pie
down."
and pop. The pie
Uh,
and ball pop.
uh, the what?
The pie and ball pop. Minnesota.
Oh, that I wasn't even referring to that one, but
Oh,
that
okay.
was part of it. Yeah. There's some things you got to do when you are on commentary. There's a level of like, are you professional or are you being funny or trying to like Are you commentating like as if this were on TV, or are you doing oh, maybe I'll use Hashimoto's show as an example. Eli Hashimoto. His idea of watching it is like a reaction show. Like it's not specifically for commentary.
Mhm.
So a show like that, you can say, "Hey, like why is my team doing something like this? Why are we doing this? There's nothing smart about this." Like kind of like, for lack of a better term, personal attacks
Mhm.
may some people may feel, but like that's not exactly what it is, but it's more like heavy coaching, right? Hashtag Vic Gravili clipboard break, something like that, right? That's the sort of thing where you can say this player has done this 5 times. Why are you still doing it?
Mhm.
Like you make the same mistake constantly. But on play by play live commentary, you can't necessarily do that. You can definitely do a YouTube show afterwards and do that same thing as like the coaching show, Coach's Corner, whatever. Like this
Yeah.
guy is like, but you don't do that on live commentary. Like we see that in hockey and football, like the halftime show where it's like this guy went this way, but if he went this way, it would have been much better. And this guy's playing terribly all the time. It's like, oh, I like how his punch went this way and then that way, but like he would have been so much better if he uppercutted instead. I like there's in and I'm not taking shots at Danchenko. Like you totally understand this, but that's my idea of commentary versus uh,
Acting.
podcast conversation sort of
Yeah.
idea of a show. Like what Eli and Logan do. I love that Logan actually talks now, by the way, because
Yeah.
there's a while there where he just held the microphone in his face. And is that a cutout? Is he moving? Is he alive? Anyways.
He's growing up a little bit, coming to his
Yeah,
own
yeah. I feel like being on camera on a live stream show is helping him come out of his shell a little bit.
for sure. And confidence as well. Uh, Next question. Can you talk about some things you would like to accomplish in your position in 2026 now that you're on the board for DC? Kind of touched upon that earlier, beginning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of that is again the camaraderie, the communication, the making this a collaborative effort. And I use the term provincial reform in a way. I don't know what else to really call it, but turning provincials into regional championships, but making sure that everybody has a hand in how it's done needs to be the coordination needs to be there. And I think I can facilitate that. So nobody's caught off guard when it happens, if it happens.
Yep. Um, Next question. Perfect world. What would dodgeball live streaming look like to you in both production and quality?
Oh, it wouldn't be production. It would be Amazon Prime Video, Netflix, proper, like a major medium coming in. And like when that happens, how that happens, I don't know. But there are certain there are certain influences in the world that are kind of required to get to that step. And dodgeball could be there in a few years. I don't know. But like I'll use the rumor of Saudi for Worlds as an example. That's a risky one to talk
Yeah.
about, right? But
Yep.
if Worlds is in Saudi, the TV deal for that one is going to be would be so major that it would be so big for dodgeball, um, that like everything we've done in the past could be blown out of the water because the Saudis are so good at it. You see their WWE production, UFC, golf. What did they have recently there? A tennis championship. Um,
I don't know.
they're so good.
I know they had a bunch of esports stuff over there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and they're trying so hard to change. And like I said, I was in Bahrain this past 2 weeks ago, Um, there are. Oh man, this is hard. This is hard to talk about because like I know no matter what I say, there's gonna be backlash from something.
Mhm.
There are members of the LGBTQ community in the Middle East, whether it be Bahrain, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Iran. I'll throw Israel in there too. Um, I met by accident uh, people from that community um, while I was on my travels, and like I had curiosity questions for them, and I asked like one of the um, I didn't mention what some of the struggles were for if Worlds was in Saudi, what kind of issues that within the community there would be based on laws and past actions of certain countries. But talking about the camaraderie of dodgeball and how big the LGBTQ community is within the sport, um, especially in North America, uh, the people I was talking to, and these were separate conversations. They didn't, they weren't, yeah, they didn't know each other. This was two separate conversations. There was a third person that I didn't really have this conversation with. Um, they, they were, oh, that would be great for our community here, kind of thing. If we had like-minded people from other countries show up and show an amazing sport that is so inclusive and embraces people around the world. And that was hard for me because to me, that's like a mind changing experience, meeting somebody who lives there. Um, and like, I'm not saying this to try and change people's minds, but I will feel terrible if I'll feel terrible for those people. Um, Knowing that they could have had an experience of meeting or seeing people from their community play on the world stage in Saudi Arabia and them boycotting it. And like, I know that that's going to be hard. It's hard for me to say. It's going to be hard for people to hear. And like, I know minds can't be changed very easily, but it's hard for me too, being an ally of the LGBTQ community and personally meeting people from the Middle East who are also part of that community, both gay and trans and lesbian and everything else. They do exist. They do exist out there, and they're hoping for the rest of the world to embrace them someday. And I know laws are hard to change. Saudi is trying. You can't just change a law in a day, you know? But even though those laws exist, it's discreetness that keeps everyone safe. Don't ask, don't tell, you know? And I know that's not the way to live, but keep in mind, we used to have rallies in Canada and North America, what, 20, 30 years ago? There was pride parades happening in every city before it same-sex marriage became legal. Uh, I
Yeah.
didn't mean for your podcast to get political, but
No, you're
like,
good. It got
I
deep.
don't really know how else to go about it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, the Saudi conversation's been very controversial, as it was announced or whatever rumor that it is going to
And
be.
and this is like I know I respect every organization's decision and what they do. And like it's not for me to attack anyone, but like there are members out there. So
Nice. All right. Going back to the questions. Last question from Dustin. Can you talk about the power rankings and what your long-term vision for them is? Kind of touched upon that as well.
oh yeah. Yeah, the power rankings. The long-term vision is pre-seeding for tournaments and like an ongoing live update of where each team kind of sits in the overall scale of things. Now I know it's just North America for now, but I know I tried to do some API stats in there. It just didn't work because we only have, how many North American teams actually went as their team shred,
Yeah, just shred.
moist, you know.
Moist, yeah.
So like it wasn't really fair to include the API final placements
Yeah.
there.
It'd be all over the place.
Um, yeah, yeah. But yeah, the overall wide scale of everything is definitely um pre-seeding for tournaments in major competitive tournaments.
Next question is from Jeremy Bizzle. What are some things you would like to do with your director of events status? Kind of touched upon that as well in the beginning.
Keep talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the director of events. Yeah, the is that all people know me as now?
Yeah.
But yeah, basically like provincial reform, fixing. No, not fixing. I don't want to get rid of the new nationals because we can't just get rid of it. But how do we fix what is already here for it to make more sense? Add competition to provincial type events, change them to regionals, um, make it more for potential crossovers and storylines leading into club championships because none of these teams really play each other until clubs and then they never see each other again,
Yeah.
except maybe a kickoff in midseason, right? But otherwise, you might not see them at Westerns. You'll have New Era versus Hardest Foam probably at Westerns in 2 weeks, but like when do you ever see them leading up to club championships? How can we have these better storylines going into club championships other than you see, well, why would I go to nationals or why would I go to club championships if I am just going to play the same teams I played at provincials? If you have these teams playing in regional championships, these storylines will be more fun, more exciting. It'll bring storylines. I love storylines. Yeah. What was when the Dallas Stars and Winnipeg Jets played in the playoffs? What was the storyline? Right? These teams hated each other during the regular season. They destroyed each other leading up to the playoffs. And it was back and forth. Game seven. Game seven was the big one between Winnipeg and Dallas. Dallas wins, right? So that's the sort of thing we need more in dodgeball because you don't really have the stories unless it's like, oh, these two teams didn't play in round robin. But if they played in the regionals 2 months ago, it would be really fun to see the other team come back against the team that they lost to last time. But you don't see that enough in the Canadian side of things. In Premier Tour, these teams are playing each other all the time.
Yeah.
There's more storylines in Premier Tour. And to me, the big one, again, was Shred. What's wrong with Shred? And they slowly built up until Dallas they destroyed. And there you go.
We all love a good storyline. Sounds like we need a big villain.
Okay. What was
Um,
that, sir?
sounds like we need a villain in the dodgeball scene.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, if you want villain teams, like Outsiders was definitely that team being the villain team. But
Yeah.
you've also got on the Canadian side, like Hardest Foam was always looked at as those outsiders that nobody like the villain team, or when Mavericks started to become good, they're they're the villain team, and then New Era was the villain team when they were always like it's always so good. It's the heel and the face, right?
Yeah. We need it for
This ain't
stories.
wrestling, but still. we
Next
just need
question.
now we need heel and face commentators where it's like one guy is
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh yeah, it's like that man has a family, and then Danchenko's like, oh, get that guy off the court. And like,
We start doing scripts, making it
no, I wouldn't go
scripted.
that far, but yeah, no, that's hard to do. Because what if a guy misses his throw and sweaty balls and whatnot? You
That's
can't
true.
script that.
That's true. Just get better. uh,
I, I'm not saying it.
Next question is from Shota Barbo. Uh, what would you change in the Canadian dodgeball scene?
I've already talked about it.
Yeah. Also, how was playing at API?
I feel like I'm beating a dead horse with that one. Like, we'll see.
Yeah.
You know, API, it was good. I played one match, like I said, so we lost that match.
Uh, did you at least warm up? Or you just went straight into it?
Huh?
Did you warm up at all?
Yeah,
Uh,
no, I was very lazy. That gym was cold.
yeah, I heard it was cold.
I, yeah,
Um, next question is from Jonathan Wilkie. If you could create a one-off event with the goal of increasing dodgeball's profile in the public domain, what would you plan/create?
a true worldwide invitational.
That'd be crazy. So
Yeah,
like worlds,
it
kind
didn't
of.
make sense to me that API has the word invitational in it, but I understand the word invitational means we also invite everybody else around the world. It's not just Asia Pacific, right?
Mhm.
So, but it's kind of misleading at times. Um, but it would be cool to have a world thing. One club from each of the top 12 dodgeball countries in the world. But if we had foam and cloth, maybe top six. Like think of the thing, but also having cloth, and then split it down to six teams, and they play full 40-minute matches on both foam and cloth. So you just take the top rankings from the world level, right? So however these countries figure out who to send, I don't know, but like this kind of sounds like it might be a mini worlds, but it would be cool if it were actual clubs from all those countries. So like foam men, for example, Malaysia, USA, Australia, Canada, Hong Kong, Mexico. You get a club from each of those. I'm not sure what did Mexico do to get on the top six list. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
Um, I'm like they. I can't think of a club from Mexico, to be honest. But like foam women, Canada, Hong Kong, USA, Australia, Mexico, again, Italy. Um, Cloth, you obviously got Austria, England, Italy, USA on the men's side, North Ireland, France, Sweden on the women's side. Um, yeah, like
That'd
you
be
get
cool.
you get one club from each of those countries somehow. I don't know how they would decide who gets sent. It would just be really cool to have one off per year. Maybe that's like the off year for Worlds where they have a club Worlds. You know,
Yeah.
hey, maybe it's like the number one team from the club championships, Mavericks, gets to represent Canada on the world stage as Mavericks. And like in the USA side, I'm blanking on who won. That was probably Outsiders again.
Yes.
Yeah, Outsiders winning men's foam. They get to represent USA on the world stage for that World Club Championships that year. Like that's my idea of what could be.
That would be crazy. That's a
It's
crazy
so much
idea.
easier to manage than a full World Championships too, because then you can have those number one teams from the top countries. And if suddenly a country falls out of those rankings, well, it's your fault for not doing too well, you know?
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, okay. So Canada got fourth in the men's side, so that makes sense why they're listed as fourth here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a sec, what happened there?
Nice. Another question from Jonathan. How would you want to increase the media presence of dodgeball globally?
Yeah, that's a tough one too because, like I mentioned, like shout out Mark Sisravi with what he's done with social media stuff and all the stuff that comes out of Toronto. But like how to harness that and make it work for everybody because that helps Toronto especially. How does the world level get there? It's kind of hard
Yeah.
because every world organization does it differently each time. And Austria has a lot of footage that they recorded during that event. But did they use it? WDBF use it? Like,
Yeah, I wonder what
um,
happened to that guy with the camera.
I, yeah, where'd he go? He just fell off the face of the map. But I feel like it would be harder to harness the power of social media for dodgeball because people don't want to watch 40-minute matches. If we can cut 40-minute matches down to 2 minutes, that would be amazing. I think there's some work happening behind the scenes to make that happen. Um, and that would be sort of like the idea of an ESPN2 you watch in the middle of the afternoon and like you've got a half hour match, full match of just cut up highlights from that match and you've got the full story at that point. Like I think that's the way to go for future of media besides getting a deal with Amazon or Netflix,
Yeah.
cutting up matches to short short experiences. You could watch the story of an entire tournament in a span of, I don't know, however many matches were streamed, 1 minute per match. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like
It's definitely
that's what
tough.
I imagine it would be.
Yeah. Something really quick. Next question is from Claire Uzi. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. Um, what are your top three tournaments you attended this year? You nailed that one. What
Yep.
made them stand out
Yeah.
as particularly
She totally
memorable?
wants me to mention the Boston Dodgeball League one.
It
Uh,
is
I did
fun.
already mention those all before. It was the thing, cloth open, API,
Yeah.
and then special mention was the Nickelodeon tournament, and I mentioned another. Oh, Tucson round.
And then what if any impact has there been in viewership in the switch from streaming to Twitch? Oh, wait, sorry. What if any
Oh yeah,
impact
yeah.
has there been in viewership in the switch from streaming on Twitch to YouTube memberships?
Live viewership, not much, honestly. But it seems that the live viewership is really not the focus these days, since dodgeball live streams still seem to be only catering to players and families.
Yeah.
How do you get outside of that is the real question. Um, Again, that's when you get into the deeper OTT stuff. Service providers that have like Roku channel, stuff like that. Like there's options out there that they just take stuff and people watch them randomly. No one goes on YouTube one day and says, "Oh, I'm gonna watch dodgeball today," and not unless you're a player, you're not.
Yeah.
But imagine if you're just a random person loading up Netflix or your Roku or Android based TV, and suddenly there's a dodgeball thumbnail there, and you're like, what is this? Because we used to get that with Twitch. And then Twitch, after COVID, messed with their whole partnership program. And YouTube doesn't really do front page stuff. So
No.
it's findability is hard until you get in their faces when they turn on their TV one day and they're bored and it's like, ooh, what's this dodgeball thing? This the movie? No, it's a real sport. What?
Yeah.
So
We got to find the algorithm somehow.
yeah, I know people will disagree with me, but like, anyways,
Um, Not really a question, or yeah, it is a question from Megan McCaffrey. Why are you so talented and cool?
matter of opinion, really. Um, I when I have an idea, I roll with it, and it just kind of I don't really give up. That was the whole power level thing, especially because I worked on that for that was like a whole week. I took a whole I didn't do work for like a whole week and just worked on specifically that, trying to figure out what works best. And like that was sort of what I came up with. And the same thing with the whole uh with the idea of my regionals idea for Canada, like that's kind of where that comes up with too. I just sit and think what's wrong and then how can we fix it? And maybe that'll fix the whole joke about new nationals and stuff like that, because that was a thing for a while there.
Yeah.
Like what can I do that will help dodgeball memes not even blink an eye at it, you know?
They'll find one. They'll find something.
They'll find they always find a way. Um they do. But yeah, no, it's just if I have an idea and I like it enough, I'll roll with it and it just kind of falls into place. So the streaming stuff that happened with the timer, the rush timer, somebody mentioned it. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can do that. And then it just happened. And yeah,
It's awesome.
magic.
Shout out Megan. Shout out Dodgeball Hub.
Yeah, that's a whole thing too. It's like Dodgeball Hub and how it was created and all the hours of work that Max put into that. And
Oh, I
like,
bet.
they still like, there's still kinks and there's still things, but it's like, it looks great.
It
There's
does.
things that need to be worked out after every tournament, but that's the amazing thing about a working service is it's constantly being worked on to be better the next time you use it. And you're never going to get something like that with Turnify. They don't care about how dodgeball is done. You know, they're never going to cater to a sport that only uses them once a month. Um, I mean, I might be biased, but
Awesome. Uh, and last question is from Dominic Borgia. What is the
finally
future?
the last one.
Yeah. What is the future for Dodgeball.live?
Uh, is death and taxes a good answer? Like, the future of Dodgeball.live, uh, I think the next steps would, again, I feel like that's like the whole OTT platform sort of deal. Whereas like what can we do to get out of YouTube, stuff like that. Like if let's change it up a bit and like who cares about the Dodgeball.live YouTube channel? What is my role in the future, maybe? Like I would be good at facilitating work between a dodgeball organization and the production broadcaster. Uh, the big name ones that don't know the sport very well and helping them know. And I do that already with FX Sports in Mexico and some of the world level events. Um, and like there's deals made all the time in the background for dodgeball, where I think right now there's dodgeball world matches on OTT platforms all over Latin America and in Brazil where people just can randomly open up their TV and like there's a match and they can just watch it and they're viewing it all the time in South America and Latin America. And if we have more of that in everywhere else around the world, dodgeball could grow with more viewability because not everybody goes on YouTube. Not everybody sees dodgeball on YouTube because they don't think I'm going to watch a dodgeball match today.
Yeah.
The eyes we get a lot of the time are from news on TV, but who really watches news these days either? Like I know Mark did an interview during Canadian Nationals on CTV, and it's kind of funny because my parents saw it just happened to see it, and like I was like, why were you even watching news that day? You guys never watch the news. It's like, oh, we were watching because we saw something about coming up dodgeball tournament, something like that.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense because they just never watch the news. But
Yeah.
like there's so many ways, there's so many different paths that dodgeball can take. I don't always know what the right one is, and I don't think anybody's going to for sure know, but it takes a lot of experimenting, spearheading, making mistakes, getting messy. Magic school bus.
Awesome. But that's all the questions that I and the crowd has. Any last remarks or shout outs you want to do?
Oh, this chair brought to you by Marx's Ravi Dodgeball Toronto. I've had it for a couple of years, maybe 1.5 years. He bought it for me for doing the Dodgeball Toronto tournaments 2024 year. It's a nice office chair.
Oh.
Secret Labs out of Ottawa. Some people may say it breaks your back, but I feel like it fixed mine. Nick Danchenko, great commentator, likes to get messy in the commentary. Um, David Carlock, I already mentioned. There's so many others. Megan McCaffrey for being my manager for everything. Uh, she kind of keeps me sane because it was always hard to remember and keep track of dodgeball tournaments I needed to be at and stuff like
Mm,
that. And like now it's like when she's doing those conversations for the past year, I don't really have to think about it. And it's nice because this eases my role into Dodgeball Canada a lot easier because I don't have to really change anything in terms of something that might be a conflict of interest, right? So, like a streaming provider being me would be a conflict of interest as a director of events, right?
mm,
But I'm not the one having those conversations because Megan is. So, like, she just definitely, it's just hers now,
mm.
right? So, I'm definitely not a part of that anymore. But that's big. That's kind of a big job, I feel. Um, Dustin Harwood for what he did with Premier Tour. Um, yeah, I don't know. Dodgeball Winnipeg. Dodgeball Winnipeg, Dodgeball Manitoba, Nick Grenier, Adriana Mingo, great people to work with over the past while. I don't remember how long. Dan Holzer, always great to uh, throw ideas at him and see if I'm crazy. Lucas Boyle,
Mm.
um, another guy to just throw ideas at, and he'll tell you if you're crazy. you know, I don't know. There's too many people to really. Oh, actually, I'll shout out these two because they were huge supporters for Dodgeball on Twitch, which is now pretty much dead. Lauren Dwyer and Andrew Ketchum.
Mm.
Um, I don't know why they sent me money all the time, but they did. But whatever. But
That's
I
awesome.
feel like I'm obligated to say their names every once in a while.
Of course.
And Lauren Dwyer, now fellow Dodgeball Canada board member too. So
Awesome.
going to be great to work with her.
Beautiful. But other than that, I went right there. Thanks for hopping on.
Yeah. Thanks for dealing with my sniffling.
No, of course. I'm stepping over here too.
Okay.